Now, face the mighty Bison.
The FGC was completely rocked by the surprise announcement of M.Bison. This guy, as you know, in previous games died off, and it seems like Capcom was moving on from that era. JP was kind of replacing him in a lot of ways. His powers were gone. The iconic character was supposedly dead. Now, if you look at the rivaling franchise, Tekken, they also were kind of doing the same thing. Heihachi, the primary bad guy who spans the entire franchise in Tekken 7, died. Kazuya Mishima killed him. And in Tekken 8, there is some callbacks to the character. Reina is his daughter. Lars embodies him in multiple ways. But as for the character actually existing, he's gone. With the sudden resurrection of Bison, Heihachi immediately rose to the top of the discussions, and players began to ask Harada, would he return? If you think back to when Tekken 8 was first being marketed, Harada made this very famous quote.
Heihachi Mishima is completely dead.
And this was right before he showed the trailer for his daughter, Reina Mishima. He also said in news articles prior that there is no way this character will be revived. All past experiments where he tried to either 1, make himself immortal, or 2, inject himself with the devil gene to gain some inhuman powers, all of that stuff failed. One of the great content creators, Maximilian, put this tweet up, and now mind you, he didn't mention Heihachi at all. Not tag the developers, not say anything about Tekken, nothing. He only says, me. I want this fighting game character to come back, maybe. You. But they are dead. Now, mind you, there's no mentions of Tekken, Heihachi, Harada, nothing. He just sees this on his feed and he responds completely dead. Once again, he is reiterating that Heihachi is gone. You can argue whether or not he's truly gone. I think eventually he may return, whether it be a Tag 3, a Tekken 10, or something. But what I want to focus on in this video is why is Harada currently set in his ways to keep Heihachi out? Because if you look at the statistics and everything else, this character is popular, he's loved, he's played. There's this ongoing discussion happening within Tekken where players request characters that have low usage. But for Heihachi, it's the opposite. He's always top 10 in terms of usage, and for his removal to be so sudden, it comes at a shock. In the past, I did videos where I went into the details of characters' wikis and I just tried to learn, understand, and just find the mysteries that's been forgotten. And for Heihachi, it was a lot of understanding there. And I have 4 screenshots that explains completely why Harada doesn't want to bring back Heihachi. The first thing that I'll start off and read, it says, he further described Heihachi as a very human character, stating that while focus has been placed on his appearance, he found his character philosophy more interesting, and that in the series he was a perfect portrayal of the evil that lurks in man's heart, and evil far more hideous than any made-up monster. When I read this quote, I think back to some of Heihachi's iconic speeches he gave throughout the series. One of my personal favorites comes from the uncanonical Tekken motion capture picture movie from the 90s.
You'll find people mistaking their own greed for truth and eating the planet out from under them and condemning themselves to total annihilation.
But how does any of that justify the way you've lived your life?
Don't you get it? The only way to truly salvage this disgusting world is to destroy everything on it so a new world can be rebuilt.
Another quote here, it says Heihachi's stories and traits are based on Harada's history with his father. Harada was born in 1970 after World War II. However, Harada claimed that in that period, parents were harsh with their children in Japan, and as a result, Heihachi was portrayed as an antagonist father to his son, something that the Japanese players could relate to. Heihachi's power in the form of the Mishima Zaibatsu was based on imperialistic Japan. Furthermore, Heihachi is Tekken's personification of wartime Japan. During World War II, Tekken 8 shows us how all of these planes and warships and things were being built, but then Heihachi seen that empire that Jinpapi was building and he wanted it for himself. He betrayed his father and then he used the Mishima Zaibatsu as a weapon of destruction on the world. We think of the Mishima Zaibatsu as this evil entity, but really, it's only the Heihachi era. Everything before him, so far, it seems like they were kind of operating at least with some kind of moral compass, but Heihachi removed all of that. And once again, it mirrors imperialistic Japan a lot. If you know about what Japan was doing during World War II, you understand what Harada was really reaching for with this character. In 2016, Harada commented he had his own family, and as a result, he compared his family with the violent characters from Tekken who constantly are fighting each other: Heihachi, Jin, and Kazuya. He viewed this type of family as too hard in comparison. When asked about the final fight between both Kazuya and Heihachi, he called it a major milestone. It's pretty interesting when Harada says that Heihachi is too hard in comparison to like families nowadays. It kind of makes sense, but at the same time, when you look at what Kazuya is doing with Jin and what's currently happening in Tekken 8, you can argue what's the difference. Although Kazuya's rivalry with Heihachi ended in Tekken 7, his relationship with his son was left unresolved. Harada said that Jin's mother, Jun Kazama, would be an important and essential element in talking about the story of Kazuya and Jin. With these 4 quotes, you can see how at the start, Heihachi was built up as this representation of imperialistic Japan and how fathers treated their sons back in those days. But as time progressed, Heihachi felt more and more out of place. As Harada grew older, had his own children, he started to view the rivalry that we love so much so differently. And with Kazuya being the main villain in Tekken 8, the main character to a degree, you have to wonder, are they doing the same thing again? Or are they pushing the story in a different direction? Currently in Tekken 8, Jin Kazama is on a path of redemption. Jun Kazama is entering the fray. Players are wondering if Kazuya Mishima will also be after the same thing. But then you have this character, Reina Mishima, who seems like she is a younger Kazuya in a lot of ways, where something traumatic has happened to her and she will stop at nothing to get revenge. And you wonder, like, with Heihachi being this character who they view as too hard, how does all of his children play into that? How do they resolve this situation in a way that doesn't mirror what happened with Heihachi? But also, I think the developers know removing Heihachi from the picture is going to hurt the players. We love that guy, but I feel like Reina is supposed to embody that. She embodies that pain, that sorrow we feel. Reina is a really interesting character because she represents Heihachi and his legacy and also his vengeance. If you think about Jin and Kazuya, what I really love about those characters is how their journeys are very similar. Kazuya started off with the Devil Gene. The way that Heihachi reacted to it was horrible. Jin Kazama started off with the Devil Gene. The way Jun Kazama reacted to it was very different, was a lot better. And as a result, those characters, their lives, their decisions was totally different from one another. Reina is this interesting third character where it seems like Heihachi treated all of his children horribly. Reina is the only one who not only likes him, but also is willing to die for him, fight for him, avenge him. Even though Heihachi is gone, there's still a lot that they can say and they can tell, and also they can show us with Heihachi through Reina. Visions, flashbacks, we can see how Heihachi maybe learned from his mistakes, what he did differently when raising Reina instead of Jin or Kazuya Mishima. It's a lot of things that they could play with, and even though Heihachi is currently dead within Tekken, his presence is in no way gone. They have many different avenues they can explore to make this character feel more alive than ever. I think it's interesting where he is, where Bison is, but also how you can use both those characters and how they are being used. Bison is back in a literal form. Heihachi is gone, but he's still here in a more philosophical way, a metaphorical way. His impact on many characters throughout is very prominent, and we will see those characters live with the trauma, the experiences, and the relationships, and this world that Tekken 8 is ushering in will be forever changed by it, and Heihachi can still have an impact on it. If the developer play their cards right, they can do something magical here with Heihachi to make him feel more alive than ever.
But why did you drop Kazuya off a cliff? He was just an innocent boy.